Have you ever wondered why you can remember your first day of school, but not what you had for breakfast this morning? Your brain is a master of storing and retrieving information, but it's far from perfect. Memory isn't just about remembering facts. It's about reconstructing experiences, emotions, and even smells that can instantly pull you back to a moment in time. But how does the brain know when to recall a memory and when to forget? It's a balance of strength, timing, and even emotion that determines what stays and what fades. This is the biology of memory, where science, emotion, and the past meet inside your mind, shaping who you are and who you've been. So, what happens when the brain tries to remember something it can't? That's the next question we'll explore, but for now, let's dive into the science of how memory begins. So, what exactly are we talking about? Memory isn't just a single thing. It's a complex system of processes, from the moment we experience something to the moment we recall it later. It starts with encoding, how the brain turns new information into something it can store. Think of it like a file being saved on a computer, but with a lot more complexity. But memory isn't just about storage. Retrieval is just as important. That's how we bring back those stored experiences, sometimes with surprising clarity, other times with vague echoes. And let's not forget the role of emotion. Memories tied to strong feelings are often more vivid and easier to recall, which is why some moments stay with us forever. So we're not just talking about remembering facts or names. We're diving into the very fabric of how we experience the world, and how the brain keeps our past alive. You're not just memorizing facts for exams. Your brain is constantly coding your life into memory. Every choice, every conversation, every moment is stored in a way that shapes who you are. If your brain's memory system fails, it's like losing the blueprint of your identity. You might forget where you live, who you love, or even how to walk. Your entire sense of self could unravel. Memory isn't just about the past. It's how your brain makes sense of the present. It shapes your decisions, your emotions, and your ability to learn from experience. When your memory works, it feels effortless, like magic. But the truth is, it's a complex, fragile system that demands attention, care, and understanding. So, if you care about who you are, how you feel, and how you grow, you should care about memory. It's the foundation of your mind, and it's more important than you think. Let's rewind to the 1800s, when memory was thought to be stored in the brain's memory palace, a mental space where thoughts were filed like books. Then came the 1950s, when scientists began mapping the brain and found the hippocampus, a structure critical for forming new memories. The 1980s brought the discovery of long-term potentiation, the strengthening of synapses that underlies memory formation. Today, we use advanced brain imaging to map memory in real time, uncovering how the brain encodes, stores, and retrieves experiences. Imagine your brain is like a toy box full of tiny plastic figures. Each figure is a memory, and when you want to remember something, you just reach in and pick it up. But the brain isn't just a box. It's more like a special drawer where each memory has its own little space, and it's super good at finding things even if they're buried deep. Sometimes the brain needs to check if that memory is still accurate. It's like double-checking if a note is the right one before you use it. And if you forget something, it's like the note got lost or hidden. But the brain is super smart and can find it again if you try hard enough. So memory is like a toy box with special folders, and your brain is the best detective in the world. It keeps your memories safe and ready when you need them. Before memory can form, the brain must first be ready. This means the right environment, the right attention, and the right emotional context. These factors help set the stage for encoding. The brain needs to be alert and focused. When we're fully present and engaged, our neural pathways are more likely to fire and form connections that can later be stored as memories. The brain is like a blank canvas, waiting for the right input. When the right conditions are met, it's time to begin the process of forming a memory. This setup phase is crucial. It's not just about what we see or hear, but how we experience it. how it feels, how it matters to us. This context shapes the memory before it even starts to form. Once the memory is encoded, it needs a stable place to rest. Neurons form connections called synapses, where electrical signals are converted into chemical messengers. These messengers, like neurotransmitters, strengthen the bond between neurons, reinforcing the memory trace. This strengthening process is known as long-term potentiation. When neurons fire together repeatedly, the synapse becomes more efficient, making it easier for the same memory to be activated again in the future. The brain uses a combination of electrical and chemical signals to store information. Memories aren't stored in a single spot, but rather distributed across a network of neurons, each contributing a piece of the puzzle. This distributed nature allows the brain to create robust and flexible memories. Even if one part of the network is damaged, the memory can still be partially retrieved, though sometimes with some missing elements. Over time, memories can fade or shift, but the brain constantly maintains and updates them. This dynamic process ensures that we can both retain and adapt our memories as we grow and learn. Now, here's the clever twist. The brain doesn't just store memories like a library. It adds context. Every memory is tagged with emotional and environmental cues, so it knows when and where to retrieve it. This is called contextual encoding. The brain uses sensory details like the smell of salt water or the sound of waves to create a mental map of the memory's environment. This is why memories can feel so real, even when they're just a fragment of the past. The brain is recreating the context, not just recalling the facts. So, the third step in memory retrieval isn't just about recalling. It's about re-experiencing. The brain rebuilds the memory with the same emotional and environmental context as the original event. Deep within the brain's neural network, memory is encoded through electrical and chemical signals that ripple across synapses like waves in a vast ocean of neurons. These signals are not random. They are shaped by experience, repetition, and emotional weight, forming the complex web of memory circuits. When we retrieve a memory, the brain reactivates those same pathways, replaying the experience like a movie playing in reverse. This reactivation is not perfect. It's a dynamic process, and memories can change slightly each time they're accessed, like a story retold by different people. Yet, beneath all this complexity, the brain's memory system is remarkably efficient, using patterns and associations to store vast amounts of information in a small space. So, imagine your brain as a library. And not just any library. One with a librarian who can only remember where things are if you tell them twice. Every time you try to remember something, it's like asking the librarian to find a book they've never seen before. They have to search, sometimes even ask others for help. This is why memory isn't a perfect copy. It's more like a sketch, and every time you try to draw it, you might add a new line or erase an old one. And if you forget where something was, the librarian might not know, unless you help them by giving them more details to search with. In the end, memory is a collaborative effort between the brain, the body, and the environment. And sometimes it just needs a little help to find what it's looking for. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You remember that day clearly, don't you? The one where everything happened just as you recall? The scent, the sound, the exact moment you decided to take the left turn instead of the right. But what if I told you that moment, scent, the sound, the turn, might never have happened the way you think it did? Or worse, that you're not even sure if it happened at all. Memories are not just recollections of the past. They're stories we tell ourselves, shaped by emotions, biases, and the brain's relentless need to make sense of chaos. We trust our memories like we trust our senses. But the brain is not a camera. It's a storyteller, and it often gets the details wrong, sometimes spectacularly. This isn't just about forgetting. It's about the illusion of accuracy, the way our mind convinces us that what we remember is real, even when it's not. And that's the hook. Because if our memories aren't reliable, then what do we really know about the past? Or about ourselves? When we think of memory, we imagine a vault of truth. But in reality, it's more like a story we tell ourselves. Revised, embellished, and often false. Our minds don't store experiences like a camera. They reconstruct them with each recall. This reconstruction is shaped by emotion, context, and even what we've heard before. The more we try to remember, the more we risk distorting what we once knew. Every time we recall, we're not just retrieving the past, we're rewriting it. This is why eyewitness accounts can be so unreliable. The same event can be remembered in 100 different ways, each shaped by the mind's need to make sense of the unknown. The illusion of accuracy isn't just a flaw, it's a survival mechanism. Our brains prioritize coherence over precision, often at the cost of truth. Understanding this isn't just academic. It's about recognizing how we shape our own reality and how easily that reality can be manipulated by the mind itself. You might think your memories are like a video you can replay, but they're more like a dream you can't quite remember. Fuzzy, distorted, and shaped by your emotions. When you're in a moment, it feels real, solid, and certain. But once it's over, you're left with a version of it that's been filtered through your mind's own interpretation. This is why the stories we tell ourselves about our past, our choices, even our identities, can be so easily rewritten. Your memory isn't a record, it's a story you're still writing. It's not just about getting things wrong. It's about getting yourself wrong. And that's something you should care about, because your sense of self is built on the foundation of your memories. If you want to understand yourself, you have to understand how unreliable your memories are, because the truth you believe is often just a story you've made up. We've always believed that memory is like a video recording, exact, unchanging. But in 1897, psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus showed how even our own recollections fade and warp over time, like a film reel exposed to light. In the 1970s, Elizabeth Loftus used false memory experiments to show how easily our brains can implant ideas, like a seed growing in the soil of our mind without us ever knowing. In 2010, the memory reconsolidation theory emerged, showing how each time we recall a memory, it's like rebuilding a house. Sometimes with the wrong materials, sometimes with new rooms we never asked for. Today, with AI and deepfakes, the line between real and imagined is blurring. We're not just remembering the past, we're constructing it, one false memory at a time. History is not a record, but a story we keep telling ourselves, and in telling it, we often forget the truth, because the truth is not always what we remember. You remember your first day at school, right? But maybe you're mixing up the teacher's name with someone else's. Memories aren't always perfect. They're like a drawing you make from a blurry photo. When you think you remember something clearly, it's actually a story your brain made up. It uses bits and pieces, like a puzzle with missing pieces, and fills in the gaps with what makes sense. So when you think you remember something exactly, it's more like a guess than a fact. Memories are stories you tell yourself, not always the truth. It's not that your memory is wrong, it's that it's not always accurate. It's like a photo you took, but you kept changing the colors and the shapes in your head. So next time you think you remember something perfectly, just remember, your brain is telling a story, and it might not be the whole truth. The first step in the illusion of accuracy begins with a simple, everyday moment. You're walking through a familiar place, like a quiet street or a familiar room, and everything feels normal, even mundane. You're not paying attention, but your mind is already recording. Your brain is constantly gathering information, sights, sounds, even the feel of the air. But it doesn't just store these details like a camera. It interprets them, often filling in gaps with assumptions or emotions that weren't there. This is where the illusion starts. What you remember isn't just what you saw. It's also what you thought, what you expected, and what you felt. Sometimes your brain even invents parts of the scene to make the story make sense. This is how the first illusion forms, before you even realize it's happening. These initial impressions are fragile, almost like a snapshot. But the brain doesn't just take them in. It begins to organize them, linking them to past experiences, emotions, and even biases. This process is invisible, but it shapes what you remember before you even recall it. In this first step, the mind sets the stage for everything that follows. It creates a framework where memory can be constructed, altered, and even lost. This is the setup for the illusion of accuracy, where the mind believes it has captured the truth when it's only been told a story. When a memory forms, the brain doesn't store it like a videotape. Instead, it creates a fragile network of neural connections, each one a thread in a complex web of associations. Over time, these connections weaken, and the brain fills in the gaps with assumptions, emotions, and even details that never happened. It's not a flaw, it's a survival mechanism. Each time we retrieve a memory, it's like reassembling a puzzle with missing pieces. The brain fills in the blanks, often unconsciously, leading us to believe the reconstructed version is the truth. This process of reconstruction is what makes memories so malleable. We're not just remembering the past, we're interpreting it, often without knowing we're doing it. The more we believe in a memory, the more our brain reinforces it, making it harder to question. This creates a feedback loop that can distort our perception of reality itself. The clever twist comes when the brain starts filling in the blanks. It doesn't just recall, it reconstructs, often without us even realizing it. This reconstruction is guided by what the brain believes is true, not necessarily what actually happened. It's a kind of mental fiction, shaped by our expectations and emotions. The brain uses fragments of memory, sometimes mixing them with other experiences or even fabricating details to make a coherent story. It's not about truth, it's about making sense. This is the heart of the illusion. The brain isn't storing facts like a camera. It's building a narrative, and sometimes the story it tells is far from the truth. The clever twist is that we don't always know we're being played. Our minds are experts at convincing us that what we remember is real, even when it's not. Underneath the surface of memory lies a complex network of neurons firing in precise patterns, encoding experiences with a fidelity that's both remarkable and fragile. Each memory isn't stored as a single file, but as a patchwork of fragments, with emotional tags and contextual cues that influence how we retrieve them. This process isn't a flaw. It's an adaptive strategy, allowing us to function in a world where certainty is a luxury, not a given. But as we learn to question the stories our brains tell, we begin to see the truth, not as a fixed point, but as a fragile, evolving thing. Imagine a film reel, grainy and faded, where every frame is a memory. You think you're watching a perfect record, but the director is asleep at the wheel, and the camera is always slightly out of focus. You think you're seeing the truth, but the reel is rewinding, looping, and distorting the story. What you think is a clear image is actually a mosaic of guesses and assumptions. This is the illusion of accuracy, not a lie, but a distortion. The more we believe in our memories, the more we ignore the gaps, the blanks, and the missteps in the story we tell ourselves. And yet, we keep watching. Because even when the image is blurred, the story feels real. We don't need perfect clarity. We need the comfort of the narrative. So, here's the truth. We are all living in a film reel that we don't fully control. The memory is the story, and the story is the memory. It's not a lie. It's just a lie we keep believing. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. I used to think memory was a mirror, reflecting who I was. Now I realize it's more like a patchwork quilt, stitched together from fragments of moments I can't always remember. Each thread represents a memory, some bright and vivid, others faded and frayed. But it's not just the memories that shape me. It's how I choose to hold on to them. I've forgotten so much. Whole days, entire conversations. But the way I remember them, the way I reframe them, is what builds the person I am today. Memory isn't just about what happened. It's about what we believe happened, and how that belief shapes the story we tell ourselves about who we are. And maybe that's why we're all so different. Not just because we have different lives, but because we remember them in such different ways. We talk about how memory isn't just a record of the past, but a way we shape who we are. Every moment we remember is a piece of our story, a thread in the fabric of our identity. But memory is fragile. It can fade, distort, or even vanish, leaving us with more questions than answers. How can we trust what we remember if it's never truly reliable? We build our identity through the stories we tell ourselves. These stories are shaped by what we remember, but also by what we choose to forget or reinterpret. Sometimes the most powerful memories are not the ones we can clearly recall, but the ones that linger in the background, shaping our emotions and our decisions without us ever realizing it. So when we talk about memory and identity, we're really talking about how we define ourselves through the moments we hold on to and the ones we let go. You think you know who you are, but maybe you're just remembering someone else's story. Every memory is a thread, but the tapestry you're weaving might not be yours at all. Your identity is not a fixed point. It's a story you keep rewriting, often without realizing it. To care about memory is to care about the truth of who you are, and who you might still become. We start in ancient Mesopotamia, where clay tablets etched with stories became the first anchors of memory, preserving the lives of those who had come before. Then came the Greeks, who wove memory into philosophy, framing it as a river that both nourishes and erodes the self. The Renaissance revived memory as a tool of art and intellect, with artists like Da Vinci encoding their thoughts in coded notebooks, blending science and soul. Then came the age of photography, which shifted memory from the mind to the medium, transforming recollection into a visual archive of the self. In the digital age, memory has become both omnipresent and fragile, a cloud of data that can be lost, stolen, or erased in a single click. You're made of memories. Every time you remember something, you're rebuilding who you are. It's like your mind is a little house, and every memory is a brick. But sometimes the bricks get mixed up. You might think you remember something, but it's not exactly true. You're not sure if it's real or just something you made up. But if you forget too much, you start to lose pieces of yourself. You might not know where you're from or who you're supposed to be. So you try to keep the bricks safe. You write them down, you talk about them, you hold on to them. Because if you lose them, you might not be able to find your way home. That's how we build ourselves, one memory at a time. And sometimes it's hard to know which ones are real. But we try anyway. Before any memory forms, there's a quiet moment of anticipation. You're standing at the edge of something unknown, waiting for the world to touch you. It's like the first breath before a dream. In that stillness, the mind prepares. It gathers fragments of the present, the air, the sound, the texture of the moment. It's not just the world around you, but the way you feel about it. The mind is like a canvas waiting to be painted. Each moment is a brushstroke, each sensation a color. But it's not just what you see, it's how you interpret it, how it fits into who you think you are. This is the first step, the setup. It's not just about what happens, but about how you're ready to receive it. Your identity begins to shape itself even before the memory is fully formed. In this moment, you are not just observing the world, you are becoming it. The setup is the foundation upon which your memory will be built, and your identity will be written. Once we decide to recall, the brain begins to reconstruct the past. It's like a film reel being spooled backward, but the images are often blurred, out of focus, and sometimes missing entire scenes. The mind pieces together fragments, some real, some imagined, based on what it knows, not what actually happened. It fills in the gaps with assumptions, emotions, and even memories that never existed. This reconstruction is not just passive. It's shaped by our beliefs, fears, and desires. We remember things in ways that make sense to us, often distorting the past to fit our present understanding of who we are. In this way, memory isn't just a record of the past. It's a tool for shaping the future. Every time we recall, we're not just remembering, we're building the self we hope to become. The third step is where memory doesn't just recall, it reshapes. We don't remember life as it happened, but as it meant something to us. Our minds piece together fragments, adding color, meaning, and even fabrications to make the past fit the story we tell ourselves. This isn't a flaw. It's the mind's way of making sense of chaos. It's how we create continuity, even when the past is scattered and uncertain. We don't just remember, we interpret, and in that interpretation, we find not just the past, but the self we are becoming. So, memory is not a mirror, but a sculptor. And we are the clay, shaped by the stories we choose to believe. Neuroscience tells us that memory is not a static archive, but a dynamic process. Every time we recall, we rewire the brain, reshaping the very memories we think we're preserving. We don't just remember the past. We construct it, often without realizing how much of it is built from imagination, expectation, and emotion. Our identities are not fixed, but are built from the stories we tell ourselves. Stories that are often more about who we want to be than who we actually are. In this way, memory is both a gift and a burden. It allows us to connect, to learn, to grow, but it also distorts, invents, and sometimes betrays us. To remember is to reconstruct. And in that act of creation, we are not merely recalling the past. We are shaping the present and the future we imagine for ourselves. Imagine your mind as a cluttered attic, filled with dusty boxes of memories. Each box is a story, a feeling, a moment, but none of them are neatly labeled. They're just there, waiting to be opened or forgotten. You don't know which memories are real or imagined, and sometimes you mix them up. It's not a mistake. It's just how your brain works, weaving what it knows into something that feels true. This isn't a flaw. It's a survival mechanism. Your brain needs to make sense of the past to navigate the present. It builds identity from what it remembers, even if it's a little off. So when you think about yourself, you're not just recalling events. You're constructing a narrative, a story that makes you feel whole. And that's okay. It's all we have. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end. You've probably wondered how your brain remembers things, or forgets them. But what if I told you that your memory isn't just a record of the past, but a malleable, ever-changing construct shaped by your mind's deepest processes? Cognitive science has revealed that memory isn't stored like a video camera. It's more like a reconstruction, a story your brain weaves from fragments, context, and emotion. But what happens when we start to manipulate these memories? When we edit, enhance, or even implant them? The line between reality and illusion begins to blur. This is the story of how memory, our most intimate and fundamental experience, has become the subject of science, art, and even fiction. And it's only just beginning. We're talking about the fragile, dynamic architecture of human memory, the way our brains encode, store, and retrieve experiences. Memory isn't a static record. It's a reconstruction, shaped by context, emotion, and even suggestion. From the lab to the screen, memory manipulation has become a central theme in both scientific inquiry and storytelling. Researchers study how to enhance recall, while filmmakers use it to craft narratives that linger in the mind long after the credits roll. This is where cognitive science and Hollywood intersect. And the tension between what we remember and what we believe we remember. Our brains are not just recorders. They are editors, and we are often unaware of the changes they make. Understanding this process is crucial. It shapes how we learn, how we perceive reality, and even how we define our own identities. Memory isn't just about the past. It's about how we construct the present. So when we talk about enhancing or manipulating memory, we're not just talking about science or storytelling. We're talking at the very foundation of human experience, how we remember who we are, and how we choose to remember others. Memory isn't just a passive record of the past. It's the foundation of who we are. Every decision, every belief, every habit is shaped by the stories our minds tell us about ourselves. But what if those stories are wrong? What if the memories that define us are not always reliable? The implications for identity, justice, and even free will are profound. In a world where memory can be manipulated, how do we distinguish between reality and illusion? The line between truth and fiction is becoming increasingly blurred. This isn't just about what we remember. It's about who we choose to believe. The more we understand memory, the more we realize how much of our lives are shaped by what we think we know. In the end, the manipulation of memory is a mirror held up to the human condition. It reflects our fragility, our biases, and our relentless search for meaning in an uncertain world. The roots of memory manipulation stretch back to ancient civilizations, where myths and rituals were used to encode and preserve knowledge. These early practices laid the groundwork for how humans have always sought to influence their own recollections. In the 19th century, the study of memory became more scientific, with pioneers like Hermann Ebbinghaus experimenting on human recall. His work introduced the concept of the forgetting curve and the limits of memory storage. The 20th century brought breakthroughs in neuroscience with the discovery of long-term potentiation and the role of the hippocampus in memory formation. This opened new frontiers in understanding and potentially altering memory itself. The rise of cognitive psychology in the 1950s and 60s shifted the focus from memory as a passive store to an active, malleable system. This perspective paved the way for techniques like memory reconsolidation and false memory experiments. As these scientific advancements unfolded, Hollywood began to imagine the power of memory in fiction, weaving it into stories of identity, truth, and control. The line between science and storytelling became increasingly blurred. Imagine your brain like a big, colorful box of crayons. Every memory is a crayon, and you can pick it up, color with it, or even mix it with others to make new pictures. But sometimes, you might mix up the colors or forget which one you used. That's like your brain trying to remember, but it's not always perfect. Hollywood makes movies that make you feel like you're living the memories, like watching a story unfold in front of your eyes. So, in the end, it's all about how we use our brains to remember, and how we can make those memories clearer, stronger, and even more magical. To understand how memory manipulation works, we must first consider the brain's natural state, an intricate, dynamic system of encoding, storage, and retrieval. Memory is not a static record, but a process that begins with attention and context. Before any manipulation can occur, the mind must be primed. This is the setup phase. It involves creating the right conditions for memory to be influenced, whether through suggestion, emotion, or environmental cues. The brain is particularly receptive to information when it is emotionally charged or linked to a strong context. This is why the setup often includes elements that trigger emotional or sensory associations. The setup is not just about information. It's about the mind's readiness to receive and reinterpret it. In both scientific and narrative contexts, this phase is foundational to what follows. The second step in memory manipulation involves the retrieval of stored information. This process is triggered by external cues or internal recollection, activating neural pathways that connect fragmented memories into a coherent narrative. Retrieval is not a passive process. It's an active reconstruction. The brain fills in gaps using context, expectation, and sometimes even fabricated details, which can alter the original memory. In cognitive science, this process is studied using techniques like false memory experiments, where participants are exposed to related information and then asked to recall events that never occurred. These experiments reveal how easily memory can be shaped by suggestion, emotion, and context, showing that memory retrieval is not a direct playback, but a complex recombination of stored elements. Understanding this mechanism is crucial for both scientific inquiry and creative storytelling, as it explains how memories can be both a source of truth and a canvas for manipulation. The clever twist lies in how the brain is tricked into conflating imagined events with real ones, blurring the boundaries of memory and perception. By engaging the same neural pathways used for real memories, the mind can be led to believe that what was imagined actually occurred, altering the memory's authenticity. The twist is subtle, but powerful, relying on the brain's inability to distinguish between memory, imagination, and reality, especially when the context is emotionally charged. This cognitive sleight of hand is what makes memory both a tool for truth and a weapon for manipulation, shaping our understanding of the past in ways we may never fully recognize. Underneath the drama of memory lies a complex web of neural networks, firing in precise patterns to encode, store, and retrieve information. These networks are not just circuits, but living, adaptive systems shaped by experience, emotion, and context. The hippocampus, often called the brain's archive, is central to this process. It orchestrates the formation of new memories and their consolidation into long-term storage, linking sensory input with emotional significance. This malleability is both a strength and a vulnerability. It allows us to adapt and learn, but it also opens the door to errors, biases, and even false memories, ones that can feel as real as the truth. In the lab, scientists use tools like fMRI and EEG to map these processes in real time, peering into the mind's inner workings with a precision that was once the realm of science fiction. The challenge lies in translating this scientific understanding into practical applications, without losing the ethical and philosophical weight of what memory truly is. Imagine memory as a vast, shifting library where every book is a moment from your life. The shelves are not fixed. They rearrange themselves, and some books are left unmarked, while others are neatly labeled. The librarian, you, sometimes forget which books you've read and sometimes misplace the ones you need. The books themselves are not perfect. Some are faded, some are torn, and some are written in a language you no longer understand. The library is not just a place to store memories. It's a place of transformation, where stories are reshaped, and the past is never truly static. It's a space that reflects who you are, and who you are becoming. This library is not your mind. It's a metaphor for it. But in its simplicity, it captures the essence of what memory does. It holds, distorts, and reimagines the past, all while trying to make sense of the present. Comment this emoji if you made it to the end.